And now, from a lonely little corner of the Bronx.
This little critter is my Marley, probably the most spoiled pet in the universe. She's safe and warm because she's in the beautiful Bronx. It's not a war zone, one could argue. Now, you know what war looks like for people. You've seen the images: collapsed buildings, smoke in the sky, families carrying whatever they can hold. But here's something most cameras don't stay on for long: the animals left behind. Dogs wandering through neighborhoods that aren't neighborhoods anymore, cats pulled from concrete dust with burns and broken legs, donkeys that once carried food and water for families now standing alone beside roads going nowhere. And in the middle of all that, there is one small organization still trying to help them: Sulala Animal Rescue. It was founded in 2006 by Saeed El-Ar, long before this war, with a simple idea that even in the hardest places on earth, animals deserve care. Sulala runs Gaza's first and only dedicated stray animal shelter and veterinarian clinic. They rescue animals, treat injuries, and teach people, especially children, that compassion for animals matters. But this war has changed everything. Most veterinarian clinics in Gaza are closed. Families have been displaced. Animals are being found injured, burned, starving, with no one left who can treat them. So Sulala did what they always do. They improvised. They opened a pop-up medical point, a small emergency station where wounded animals can be treated in the middle of a war zone. Bandages, antibiotics, a place for a terrified animal to be held by someone who still cares. But they cannot do it without your help. Your contribution helps buy medicine, food, and basic supplies for animals who are suffering quietly in the background of this war. Because even in a place defined by destruction, compassion is still possible. And right now, Sulala Animal Rescue is proving it every single day. So please contribute today at the Podcasthon to Sulala Animal Rescue. Marley says for you to do it.
All of the remains of the 83 Israeli hostages being held in Gaza have been returned. And now Palestinians are free to look for their loved ones beneath the rubble. This takes place as Trump is taking credit for an October 2025 ceasefire in which 500 Palestinians have already been killed. And it might be over that at this point. So I need to talk about a recovery operation that is so large, so slow, and so under-equipped that it makes FEMA's Katrina response look like an Amazon Prime one-day delivery. And I want to be clear, this is not a joke, which is why I'm going to be making jokes. Because when reality gets this dark, humor is not disrespect. It's an emergency exit for your brain. Otherwise, we all just sit here blankly staring into the void, pretending this is complicated, when it is actually just cruelty with a calendar. So if this feels too dark for jokes, it's not a comedy problem. It's a reality problem. So let's start where the story actually begins, with waiting. Fatima Salam waited for 2 years, which is longer than most people's attention spans, too many Hollywood marriages, and several wars we've already forgotten we funded. And somehow, still shorter than the time it takes for the world to care. On December 15th, she stood in Gaza City as civil defense crews began digging through a building that once held 60 members of her family. And to be very clear, this was not a search for survivors. This was a search for bodily remains. When you wait 2 years to dig, you are not doing recovery. You are doing archaeology in real time. According to Mondoweiss, the airstrike that destroyed the building took place on December 19, 2023. Fatima said, direct quote, "Here I lost every person that was dear to me." 60 people, which is not a nuclear family. That is a small wedding, a full bus, a classroom that never got to grow up. And now let's talk about what was actually recovered. Forensic workers recovered remains that were, quote, often only bones, not full bodies, not even full skeletons, chest bones, leg bones, fragments. This is not CSI Gaza. This is no montage, no sunglasses, no dramatic music, just bones and a clipboard. And a human being trying to guess who someone used to be. Identification was done using height, clothing remains, and, when possible, DNA. And that when possible is doing a lot of emotional heavy lifting. Because as Truth Out reports, Gaza does not have the labs, the tools, or the resources for mass DNA identification on the scale of a small city, buried under concrete. You cannot match DNA when the world won't even let you import the cotton swabs. So let's zoom out. Because Fatima's family is not an exception, they are a data point. According to Mondoweiss, Truth Out, and the Gaza Civil Defense, an estimated 10,000 Palestinian bodies or so remain trapped under the rubble. At least 10,000. And when officials say at least, that is not a number. That is a shrug followed by a press release. Counts are based on destroyed buildings, strike records, survivor testimony, and notice this, areas that have been accessed, which means everywhere you are not allowed to go. Meaning everywhere you are not allowed to go doesn't count. Welcome to a body count with a locked door. Areas behind the so-called yellow line, which is 85% of the Gaza Strip, where anyone who approaches risks being shot, like 4 people that were killed in the ceasefire just the other day. Which means this is not a safety line. It's a political line that dead bodies cannot cross. And that is impressive because dead bodies are usually very bad at following political agreements. It turns out ceasefires apply to gun, not to grief. Now let's talk about equipment. How many large excavators are currently being used to recover these bodies? Yeah, one. According to Middle East Monitor, there is one large excavator serving multiple cities across Gaza. This is not a recovery operation. This is a waiting list for death removal. Amazon can deliver a refrigerator overnight, but a second excavator? Don't be ridiculous. This is not logistics. This is a parody of logistics. Why only one? Because most heavy machinery was destroyed during the war, and replacements have not been allowed to enter. Yes, even digging up the dead requires permission, because apparently death is not the end of the paperwork. This is what a military checkpoint looks like when extended into the afterlife. Huda Abu Hula walked past the rubble for 2 years, not hoping for a rescue, hoping for burial. When your biggest hope is a grave, the bar is not just low, it's been buried. This is not just a humanitarian crisis. This is a forensic bottleneck. This is what it looks like when war outpaces the ability to bury the dead, even during a ceasefire. And the most haunting part, this count is still growing.
Politihoot!